Hello and welcome back. This is Kriya with Game Domain. Fallout is a franchise we all know very well. It began as a successor to Wasteland, functioning as an almost sequel. The overarching stories parallel each other in many ways, but the profound difference is the dichotomy of philosophies that these two pose for the nature of humanity. And of course, what is human? Today, we're talking about Fallout's philosophy of dehumanization and human life. Imagine for a moment. It's the exciting end of the 90s. 1997 to be exact. You're a lonely kid who plays far too many PC games, and out comes a game by the name of Fallout. It's like nothing you've ever seen before, and it puts your old best friend Wasteland in the dust. A dynamic world in which you're fighting to save your vault, as well as save your family and everyone you've ever cared for. They establish you as a nameless, faceless savior of the vault, in a world of beings that aren't like anything you've ever seen before. Everything is just as exciting to you as it is your in-game surrogate. A world of hulking behemoths in the Master's army called supermutants, the rotting foul monstrosities of the Ghouls, the cold removed synths, and the final tribe of humans tainted by survival in the land of insanity that you've been spit into. This is where the philosophy of Fallout was born. In this thick atmosphere, a soup of thoughts yet to reach the surface, like a drowning person in a frigid river in March. We're now going to stop and explain each of these non-human entities one by one, to describe the philosophy of which they each abide by. The supermutants are a species of humans who have been infected with the FEV virus, whose original intention for existing was to create super soldiers in the Great War that these games are situated around. The Master was exiled from his vault for murder, and in his time in the Wasteland became infected with the FEV virus. He then began to create his army of supermutants, strangers that he could capture and turn into his soldiers. Supermutants are human beings that were kidnapped and infected with the virus by some nefarious evil overlord. The Ghouls, at first glance, are hideous monstrosities of humanity destroyed by radiation. But soon you may find they are simply just deformed humans. They are as human as they come, with wants, needs, emotions, families, cultures, and societies. They are more human than most of what had survived the Wasteland untouched. Take for instance, the barbaric monsters of Vault 11 that devalued all the life in the vault itself as a means of survival. Or the slavers of Paradise Falls, stealing and selling the lives of the old, sick, weak, and young, all of which are only exemplified throughout the original run of titles under Black Isle Studios. Synths are synthetically born humans that were made to serve as slaves by the monolithic institute of Fallout 4. However, you can easily see that they have feelings, caring attitudes, memories, and emotions, just like humans. In fact, the only difference between us and them is a small piece of plastic that marks them. But the violence directed at them is so aggressive and unnecessary that it becomes the focus of a war, a revolution. The dehumanization of Fallout is overall a satirical paradigm of Aristotelian philosophy, and his philosophy of a slave. Those who are as different from other men, as the soul from the body or man from beast, and they are in this state if their work is the use of the body, and if this is the best that can come from them, are slaves by nature. For them, it is better to be ruled in accordance with this sort of rule, if such is the case for the other things mentioned. Aristotle was in short an immoral philosopher, but Fallout's purpose is to reflect the antithesis of this sentiment. Instead, the slaves are well spoken, the ghouls are intelligent, and the supermutants have culture and purpose. Whereas the initial Black Isle games did not hold entirely to this philosophy. When they went under and the rights were bought out by Bethesda, they almost exemplified in every way this apparent spite that the world of Fallout held for such archaic sentiments. The year is 2008. And a new game has come out. A title from your childhood that you look at with an overwhelming sense of nostalgia. You plug it in, and instantly the subtlety has been chipped away, but the nuance remains. The game now offers you a world, with a place and purpose that the first games hadn't. Where the nihilism had once been, it remained in a different form. Here, the ghouls are presented as slaves, victims of the hate of the public, treated like staples of the world that the humans are trying to forget. The humans of this world are illiterate, inarticulate, and overall unintelligent. Like Moira Brown, a crackpot inventor with low morals and a severe disconnect from reality or an inability to articulate. Leo Stahl, a drug-addicted drug peddler who can barely converse with an intelligent or cohesive sentence. Or even Nathan Vargas, a propaganda-obsessed fascist whose beliefs are cemented in his soul without a solitary thought of his own. Yet the ghouls are presented as intelligent and caring. Carol and Gob are perfect examples of humans that aren't humans. They're well-spoken, have strong care for one another, and in fact, she tasks you with bringing a copy of Paradise Lost to Gob, which is a masterpiece by John Milton that most of the world of Fallout doesn't even know existed. Whereas the humans of Fallout are presented as immoral and corrupt, the ghouls are presented as just and suffering. Take for instance Camp Searchlight in Fallout New Vegas. There's a platoon of NCR trying to kill all NCR soldiers that have become ghouls as a form of mercy, posing these people as heroes to their fallen comrades. But swiftly upon meeting a non-feral NCR ghoul, you realize that there's no mercy in their actions. Rather, it's actually innate hatred presented as kindness. They're killing them as a means of segregation and preservation of the holy human archetype. The world of Fallout is provoking this philosophy of being human, instigating it to respond. It offers a world where humanity is reduced to aesthetics, what visually appears human, what constitutes human. Ignoring the words of René Descartes for the Aristotelian lunacy that the world succumbs to in a state of chaos, the true nature is to pose the philosophy of humanity itself. It is atomistic fundamentals that we all choose to ignore. In these games, time and time again, humans are divided on what is human. Whether it's the segregation that birthed the Necropolis in Fallout 1, the Underworld in Fallout 3, or the synth crisis in Fallout 4, humanity is divided based on general aesthetics, hiding behind the wall of flesh to preserve purity in humanity and the ritualistic tribalism that we see play out every day in the division of races, genders, and cultures. They remain an allegory for reality and only display how unifying the world of humanity is, how inclusive it becomes as the world bands together to rebuild. And that's the message, the purpose of the contrast, the satirical hyperbolic upping of such situations in the scope of the game's world. It's taking advantage of the predisposed ability to ascribe to Aristotle's philosophy and illuminate the lack of humanity in it. There's an overwhelming sense of humanity, its search for preservation that drives each of these crises, and ultimately, that is the philosophy of Fallout. Humans are dehumanizing by nature, that all-unifying philosophy of division. And that was the philosophy of Fallout. If you enjoyed the video, feel free to like, share, and subscribe if you're new. I'd like to give a special thanks to the Absurdist from the Absurdist YouTube channel for writing the script for this video. And thanks for watching each frame of this game domain.